And we're live. Hello, 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 hello.
Hey. Yeah. Hey, hello. Hi, hello.
Hello, welcome everyone to the Chaotic Podcast. My name is Sumner, or Tummy Numner on all social medias, and I am joined here by shit. I always forget your name. What is it?
Oh, you Joe.
Joe Mama. How you
Joe Mama,
doing?
you fool.
That's an old joke. I feel
That
like Joe
is.
Mama. How long
That's
is that? It's been around since like what the 70s.
that's like the go-to. My wife and I make so many of those dumb like Joe Mama and like D's nut jokes and everything when we're watching everything,
Got him.
particularly when it's something like the Rings of Power. You'll have Galadriel talking to somebody and she'll be like, "I come from a far away land," and then one of us will be like, "Sagundis." you know,
Secundies.
Sagundis nuts.
Yeah, there it
So we
is.
do that,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
uh, the like elves are infected with something in Rings of Power, and it's like we've been infected with ligma. So we do that literally the entire time we're watching the show
Is Ligma
because
from
we're
something in
children.
particular? Because I keep hearing and seeing it, and I don't care for the joke, to be honest with you. I don't think it's very clever.
That Steve Jobs died from ligma, right?
I know the joke. I
Yeah.
just don't know where it's from.
I don't know, the internet. We're
Okay, it
we're
seems like
all
a South Park thing, considering how incessant it is. I was just wondering.
I have no idea. It's from the internet, my man. Like
It's from
it's
the internet.
terrible.
Yeah, that narrows it down.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just
Yeah.
wondering.
I don't appreciate how rude you are to me on this program sometimes when I try and bring joy to your life, and this is what you give me. How
Fuck you.
dare
I'm just
you?
kidding. I don't mean that. I don't mean
Fight you. I'll drive to Texas and punch you in the face.
I don't mean that. I'm sorry, Vic.
I
That
know.
didn't
It's
feel
fine.
good, but it came from my heart. So,
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad. So glad.
so today we are blessed with a guest, uh, Rhonda. Correct. So let's get her in here. Actually, let's not keep her waiting.
Hey, look,
Uh,
you just gave me a hard time. I'm gonna give you a hard time. That was the shittiest intro you've ever done for any guest we've had on this program.
it
We are
was.
joined today by a fantastic individual, Rhonda Parker, also known as Words by Parker. She is a writer, she's a YouTuber, she's a creator, she's a producer, and she's an all-around wonderful human being. And that, Sumner, is how you properly introduce a guest and not be a dick and be like, what's your name? Rhonda, huh? Yeah, all right, let's go.
No, you're right though. I did not do her justice whatsoever. I was hoping to pass the mic to you since you know more about her work than I do. I'm
Sure,
excited to
sure.
learn about it, but I don't think I was the right person to have the mic in that very second.
Well, you tried.
Rhonda, you there?
Yeah, right here. Hey guys.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot about you and the work that you and Mick have been doing. Uh,
Mhm.
so is there any projects you've been working on like recently, or is there a specific project you want to highlight? Because I'm curious about what all you do. I know you were mentioning that you write, you voice act, you produce. Like what? I don't know where to start, to be honest. Do you?
I don't know where to start either. I usually start with writer and then let it flow from there.
I I got
Uh,
this one. So, you just released a novelette called Endgame, which is a fantastic story, which you were kind enough to cast me in the audio version of. So, thank you again for that. But you just released Endgame, so I want to talk a little bit about that. Because I know that you've said on social media a few times that it's a story that you've kind of had living in your head for a little while, and it's very cool to see it finally done and complete. So tell us about Endgame. Like, where did it start, and then talk us through to the finish.
okay. So basically it started, there's a website called, and I'm probably gonna butcher the name, but I think it's Promptarium. And it's a blog, and it's a writer that she finds these prompts, and she'll post them and share them. And it's like, hey, these are prompts I found. And I found the prompt for this one, which I think was titled Endgame, which is why I went with the Endgame name,
Nice.
partially anyway. And it was just, I found it in 2018. I just kind of filed it away in my notebook. And then in 2020, I'm like, oh, I should start working on this. And so the first draft, I think, was like about 1,600 words. And I'm like, all right, first draft's done, because, that's where you start from. And by the time I was done, and by the time the cast got their hands on it, it was almost 9,000 words,
Holy
because the
cow!
characters,
Ooh.
Yeah, the characters just kind of looked at me and said, "Oh no, Rhonda, we're not done.
We
We
have
have more
more
to
to say.
do." So it's been a really interesting journey. Just and of course I worked on other projects in between this one, but actively working on it since 2020. And when I realized I could publish it as a novelette, and you can actually, you know, I mean, I've self-published, so
Oh,
I
okay.
have two books. So I have a short story collection, which is very short stories. I call them Twitter-sized stories because they're the length of a tweet. And then this is my second book, which is a novelette. And I realized you could publish it, and I'm like, well, heck, why don't I publish it? And then I said, well, heck, why don't I do an audiobook? And then I said, stop thinking of ideas. So
Stop thinking of ideas. My wallet can't
stop.
handle it. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, no, 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 no.
I
So
completely understand that.
Oh yeah.
so that's kind of where we are today. Last Thursday, it'll be a week tomorrow. Wow. We the print copy, the ebook copy, and the audiobook came out. I'm very proud of the audiobook. I'm very proud of the cast. They did a great job. I would recommend them to anyone anytime. So they were great.
Where is the audiobook? Is it like on like Spotify or like where can we find it?
It's actually on YouTube for free.
Oh,
Yes.
So
hey,
um
awesome. How do I
You can
find
listen
it? I want to
to
pull it up right
Ya
now.
Boy. It's why it's on the Words by Parker YouTube page, my man. My good man. I don't know. That was a
I know
little.
you sent me the link, but I want to make sure all listeners know, and I'm also going to pull it up
Oh,
right
that's
now and make
you're
sure that there's
right. I
no.
do forget. This is a show, and people can't read my mind. Like I know where to find it. It's fine.
No, it's great because I not only because my good friend Mick is a couple characters from what I heard,
mhm.
but I
Yes.
want to. I genuinely want to know. I genuinely want to. I'm out of content right now. I'm in a content drought, and it's depressing. And I definitely need some. This is going to be great.
Well,
So I'm
this is
really
about
excited.
58 minutes, so that's at least almost an hour.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
At my
it's a
schedule, I'll
really
have it
great
finished in
story.
a couple days. I
I
I swear it takes me a week to watch a single episode of She-Hulk. It's just like
it's
5 minutes here, 6 minutes there.
Yep,
But
yep, I understand.
yeah, it took me a month to watch Dahmer, but or
I
whatever
still haven't
monster,
watched it.
whatever.
I haven't watched it.
It's weird. Anyway, I don't want to take away from from, from everything. Uh
That's
unless of course, Miss Parker, I'd also watched Monster, which is the Jeffrey Dahmer story.
I
We
have
can
not watched it, so
Okay, I'm not about to alienate you. So, but for
thank you.
those who have watched it, it's weird. I don't know why they made it. Moving on.
Have
So,
you not seen the original one starring Jeremy Renner as Dahmer? It is also super weird.
I've never,
Hawkeye,
I had,
yeah, Hawkeye played Jeffrey Dahmer.
well, Jeremy Renner's a weirdo to begin with.
Oh yeah,
Scams his
it's
fans into
really
stuff.
weird.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that movie's incredibly weird. Anyway,
ugh.
moving on.
Oh, that
It's
makes me look at
very
Jeremy Renner even weirder now.
dude,
Okay.
it's there it's so weird. Like, yeah, I can't yeah, there's just it's almost like become a meme between me and one of my other friends because it's so like just his dial it is okay, look, as an actor, I don't like to always criticize performances of other actors, but it feels like he phoned it in a little bit
Oh,
because his reactions are just so like, huh, all right. Like not yeah, it's hard to
Uh-huh.
explain, but yeah.
And it's
Moving
a
forward.
story that you've heard a billion times, and nothing like an amazing original art piece or story
It's true.
like you would expect from Words by Parker. So, how long have you been writing for?
um, probably most on and off most of my life.
Hmm. Well,
The
I
last
saw
couple
you
of
heard you had a
years,
notebook that you actually referred back to, which tells me you're a seasoned writer.
yes. Oh, good. I'm glad I present that.
Yeah. Well,
I actually
because most
use
people write their ideas
Evernote.
down and they lose
Yeah,
them.
Yes.
yeah. Oh, I've done that. I actually one time woke up to a note that said, "Remember that idea you had,"
I
and I
love
just
those
looked at it
notes.
and went, "What? What? What?" I
Yeah.
actually use Evernote. It's one of the best tools that I use, and I can just make a notebook and I can throw stuff
Hmm.
in it. And I have a miscellaneous notebook for prompts, and then from my theater days when I used to direct theater shows, I would always make a notebook that had everything in it, the rehearsal schedule, the script, and all that. And that's kind of transferred over to what I do now with audio production. So everything goes into the notebook, so I know where things are.
That's
You know,
super cool.
it's funny that you mentioned that you directed theater. I could tell based on your direction. That's not a bad thing. That's just like I did theater as well.
Okay.
So I just your direction was more like theater style direction. So I at least I was like, I wonder if she did theater, and I never asked, but now I know.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is voice acting is not necessarily new for me. When I was in high school, I did a radio internship, so
Really? That
and all
sounds
that.
super fun.
Yeah, and then but I never really did anything with it, and so then I got into theater and I did more, in person acting.
Right.
And so now it's kind of like I'm still trying to learn. To me, acting is acting, but at the same time, I know there's different things you have to do with your voice because as a voice actor, it's all in the voice.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so I'm still learning that part.
Well, I think you did a great job. This is a little how the spaghetti was made, but you had great notes, you had great direction. It was very clear what you wanted. When I gave you my rough draft and you came back and you were like, okay, give me something here, give me this here. But the thing that you didn't do, and I appreciate, you didn't say it like this, because then I'm not performing, I'm a puppet. And
Exactly,
yeah, so
exactly.
I very much appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I learned pretty quick after the first couple of theater shows that I did. Even though I'm an actor myself, I learned to trust my actors. And it's a learned behavior because you're like,
Yeah.
okay, so here's the character, here's this, but I have learned over the years that the best thing you can do is trust your actors. It's like, here's the character, here's a little bit of motivation, now go play and come back. You know?
Yeah, because it
Oh
might not
yeah.
be the exact product
Mhm.
you had in mind, but it almost like it grows its own personality, and from my experience with that type of stuff, you end up growing to like that version of it more. Um,
Absolutely.
but that's highly subjective, as subjective as it gets. But because that could work the other way around too, being like you ruined everything. But it's um, I learned that with Faithful Encounters a long time ago when we had D&D on Twitch, and I wanted everything to be like, I want this person to carry this trope. I want this person to have this type of tone and
Mhm.
cadence. And then when it turned into something completely different, I loved it way more. And it's just because I
Mhm.
took hands off. I stopped like barking, ridiculous orders around or whatever. Just kind of a let the actors fly kind of thing. Especially if
Yeah, it's kind of
they know what they're looking for. No,
Absolutely. I don't think it's a bad thing.
no.
I don't think it, or excuse me, I don't think it comes from a negative place to have that in your mind, because you have this very clear vision. And Rhonda, I imagine it's got to be even more difficult when, you said yourself, you've been living with these characters for 2 years now. So to hand them
Yeah,
over to other actors, that's an incredible amount of trust that you're
yeah.
extending, especially to people that you don't know, or you've, maybe just heard they're real, or they did an audition or
mhm.
whatever. So was it hard to say, like, okay, play with my toys, and not be like, but please don't break them?
Yes,
And how
because you love your
challenging is that?
characters. Yeah.
That is an excellent way to put that. Please don't break them. It's a little difficult. Well, no, it's difficult. I'll just say it's difficult. It's because you like you said, you've lived with these characters. These, I usually will be like my babies, but I think one thing I've learned is that casting is 90% of the work of a production, and so if you have the right people, I was a little less hesitant to hand them off to you guys because I'm like, okay, I have the right people. They're gonna do a great job. It'll be fine. It'll be fine,
That's
Rhonda.
a
Send the
great
script.
directing
You know?
perspective. You're right, right. Because I feel like even with a
Rhonda's
grain
good.
of salt, with like stories and stuff like that, when I listen to audiobooks, for instance, I take it for a grain of salt because like I'll read a book and then read the
Mhm,
characters in one way, the way probably closer to what the author intended, and then I'll listen
mhm,
to the audio and I hear it as the performance of from the actor, almost like a different perspective. Like
mhm.
five different actors could act the same character and it'd be five different experiences. So it's not like I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. But but I think I have no idea where I'm going with this. Wow, I really just
It
my that
sounded
thought
good
train
though.
Yeah,
I
completely
I'm
was
glad.
following
crashed.
you along the entire way. I was like, wow, this is
Wow.
really insightful and good. Um,
It's like
ADHD just
it's
hit me in the face.
whammo. No, it's kind of like everybody brings their own take to it. It's like Shakespeare. Everybody brings their own
Right.
take to Hamlet or
Mhm.
yeah.
something like that, and that makes the difference. So.
No, I agree with that 100%. Was there a part, because you said you self-published the book, and obviously you were the producer, and you also delivered pretty much everything, I feel like, that involved this entire project. You were stamped all over it in all sorts of different capacities. Was there any part that you found more challenging from sort of a production side? So whether that was getting the novelette self-published, whether that was assembling the audiobook, was there anything that you found more challenging than one of the other pieces?
Um, Probably the most challenging thing, and it'll probably sound weird, was actually playing Marcy. Um,
But you did an excellent job.
well, thank you very much. I have said before, I've said it on my Twitter, so I'll say it here. I have deep-seated insecurities, so it's a miracle that I ever put anything on YouTube.
Ha,
And so,
geez, we don't understand that at all in this program.
and the fact that I've even put my face on camera, I mean, yeah, I look back over the last 2 years because it'll be 2 years for my channel in November, and I'm looking at this audiobook and I'm like, holy crap, because I remember all the times that I thought, okay, I can't hire somebody to do this. I can do this. I can. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Mhm.
The typical statement. It'll be fine. Um, but when it came down to when I sat down to record it, I'm like, okay, can I do this? So I think for me, as odd as it sounds, that was probably the most challenging part. The odd putting the audiobook together was more time consuming and tedious, just picking out the right pieces. But
Mhm.
that for me was easier or less painful than actually bringing this character to life.
Oh,
So,
yeah. That sounds like the fun part, to be honest. Just speaking from a little bit of experience. What software did you
mhm.
use, if that's not a weird question?
That's not a weird question. I use Adobe. I have the Creative Suite, so I use
Mhm.
Audition
Audition.
and
Okay.
Premiere Pro.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I would have used. I was just curious.
Oh, no
Um,
problem.
so for
Great.
those who are not familiar, to people who have worked on it, what is the story about? Can you give us like a synopsis or like the back of the book summary? What
Yeah,
are we
I
in
can
for?
give you a back of the book summary. Actually, I'll just read the back of the book because it's right
There you
here.
go.
So, okay. um, 7 years into the zombie apocalypse, humanity is gathered into individual settlements and adjusted to a life of self governance and survival. The United States government maintains relationships with the settlements while trying to find a solution to combat the virus. When a vaccine becomes available, the National Guard starts delivering it to the survivors. But there's a catch: it only works on the healthy.
Ah, so once they're infected, what kind of zombies are in your universe? I suppose I don't know. Did you take inspiration from any other franchises in particular, such as The
I
Walking Dead or 7 Days?
Probably. I think anytime you're working with a like a well-known mythos and you're trying to put your own stamp on it, you borrow pieces.
Yeah,
I am definitely a slow zombie fan. That fast zombie stuff from like Left
Agreed.
4 Dead freaks me out. So it's like,
Left 4 Dead, World War
no.
Z, it's that type of stuff. The runners,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they're
yeah,
terrifying, and I feel like hard to write around because like how isn't
yeah,
everyone dead? Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
that I think that's my issue with the fast zombies is kind of like, yeah, we would all be dead.
yeah,
There's no
yeah. Just
survivals
know.
here, and
No,
so I'm
they can
team slow
climb,
zombie
they
too.
can destroy things, they can get over walls. There's no there's no escaping. But anyway, your slow zombies. Is it when someone gets I assume it's bitten, uh
Bitten or scratched.
or scratched. Okay, I think scratched
Hmm.
is always a fun thing that people need to add because it's just increases the exposure, especially with slow
Yeah.
Agreed.
zombies. Um, what? How long does it take for someone to change?
There is a 24-hour time frame,
24
which I
hours.
also
Okay.
pulled from the prompt, so I can't claim that one.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So if they're bitten, they're infected within 24 hours. They cannot be cured by the vaccine. Is the vaccine like available? I suppose I should just listen to the audiobook because I
You should
now
just
because
Probably,
yeah, you
yeah,
now
should
I'm
yeah.
listen to
into
Because
the
it.
there's,
book.
I'm
So
trying to, I'm not trying to be intentionally cagey, but it's like there's a lot about the story itself that I
yeah.
don't want to
Yeah.
ruin
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
spoilers for.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's
It's a
great.
great story. It's incredibly heartfelt, and I mean, like, even though I worked on it, I still had a very small piece of the puzzle. Like,
Hmm.
I knew what my lines were, but I didn't, and I had some context around what was going on for what I did, but I still don't know the whole story. So that is a very cool thing to listen to the full production and get invested in it. And then all of a sudden, oh shit, there's my voice. That's so that is the one thing that makes me go like, oh whoa, there's me. Because I'm like very into the story and listening. I'm like, uh-huh, yeah. Oh, hey, it's me. But it's a great story. It's very heartfelt and touching. Like as the sayings go, it'll bring a tear to a glass eye and make a fat baby poop.
Fat baby poop.
Yeah, have you never heard that?
I've never
No.
heard that. I've heard fat lady sing, never fat baby poop.
Yeah, tear to a glass eye and make a fat baby poop.
I'll make a fat man poop. Why does it have to be a baby?
It's funnier, I guess. I don't
We
know.
don't we
I
don't
didn't come
shame
up with it. I
adults.
just know it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Somebody could poop if they. Anyway, in any
Dude,
case,
I mean, I pooped today. I'll be honest. Sorry, I don't know.
Good job, buddy. Good job, man.
Thanks, man.
So-
It wasn't hard though. Like it was.
So you do way more than just in game. You do quite a bit of stuff on your YouTube channel. What got you interested in doing that? And you've recently celebrated a milestone with your YouTube channel. If you want to talk about that,
Yeah, I passed the 500 subscriber milestone,
Hey.
which is
which I was
awesome.
very excited about because when I started YouTube a couple of years ago, and that's gonna sound dorky, my main goal was to get the community tab. Thank you. My main goal was to get the community tab because I thought, how cool would that be? You can like post stuff to people. You don't have to record a video. And
Yeah.
so I've been having fun with the community tab so far. And but so I'm like, okay, I've arrived. I have my community tab. I'm good to go.
I like getting because YouTube also has like those reels. They're like, which I actually really like, to be honest with you. It's like kind of short form content. Because I don't have time to watch like even a 10-minute video, which is very often is what 10 minutes you need to be to put in a mid-roll ad to be monetized, and it's 500 subs. That's awesome. How long have you had the channel? You said 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
2 years? That's awesome. Congrats.
Really great.
Yeah, no kidding. That's
Thank
great
you.
progress.
I will say most of that came from the Renegade Shadow audio roleplay series I did. So that's a lot of werewolf fans that bump those numbers up. So not that I don't appreciate everybody that's subscribed. I do. That's not but yeah, when that first episode came out, it was like, oh, what's that number?
It always
Sweet.
amazes me where an audience can come from,
Mhm.
and
Right.
just like where you'll find an audience by doing something or putting something out there that you might not really think twice about. Or you're like, this is fine, and then just it's amazing the things that'll blow up to
Mhm.
me. So and it's almost unpredictable, and it's almost never the thing that you think it's going to be. So
Right.
it's it's awesome. So let's see now. Your Twitter is fantastic for anybody listening. You should definitely follow Rhonda on Twitter because not only does she post all the wonderful things that she does from writing to YouTube, but she also puts out, at least for me, things that make me feel encouraged as an artist and as a performer, because I feel like every artist, maybe not every, maybe I'm just looking in a mirror when I say this, but a lot of artists really struggle with production and
Mhm.
as you said, taking that step. So you post a lot of like great words of encouragement and like, hey, I did this thing, you can do your thing. So what are some things that you would say to encourage creators who might be like either stuck in a rut or feel like they're banging their head against a wall or those sort of things,
I
because you've got great words of encouragement.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. That's actually one of the goals when I started my channel is if I could help encourage, inspire other people. Because we're all in this together. None of us are competing against each other. I see that a lot of time with like the writing community. It's like we're not competing. It's like no, we're not. Why are we? Which I think is just a natural thing to do when you're an artist,
Yeah.
especially when you're an actor. You're auditioning for things with other people, so that
Yes.
competitiveness comes out. But
Especially when there's money
I would
involved.
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
That is a motivator. I would say, and I will say with Endgame, I almost didn't do it. Because once once I cast it, it was kind of I was stuck. But
Mhm.
You're like,
but,
well, I've gone this far.
dang it, I have to put this out now. I would say take a break. Whether that's work on another project or just get away from it for a minute, and don't stress yourself out to the point where I'm bad to do self-imposed deadlines. And then I get upset with myself when I don't hit them. But it's work in that. One of the things that helps me is to work in like a week or two extra wiggle room. Always have wiggle room so that if something happens, because life happens, as we all know,
Mhm.
you're still okay. But for me, it's like don't get so bogged down in the artistic frustration that you give up. And I think that's my biggest thing is don't give up. And I
Yeah.
know that sounds very contrite, but
No,
it's
it's pinnacle
Yeah.
advice though. Like it's because it's a ludicrous amount of people that are creatively interested. Or
Hmm.
it's those people that are like, oh, I wish I could do that. Oh, that's so cool. You're so, oh, God forbid, you're lucky that you can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
Oh
hate that.
God,
I
I
hate it
hate it.
because it's
Drives
because
me
they gave
crazy.
up and or didn't
Hmm.
try or didn't start. And the person they're saying that to, it's, I mean, how do I put this? I would not describe any artist, I would say even or especially good artists, as confident. I would not.
No.
Oh no, no,
Because
no.
because they're constantly saying this is garbage, psh, and then they don't give up and
Yeah.
they continue to work at their craft and they're like, I can do this better, I can do this better, I can do this better. That's dog shit. Throw it away. You'll never see it. Um, and so then someone comes along and be like, that's really cool that you can do that. I can't. I could never. I'm like, you could if you cared and you wanted to, but you don't, and that's cool.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
think that's the thing. It's okay. You don't
yeah,
have to, but
Yeah.
that is like the worst thing to say to an artist is like
Yeah.
oh, I wish I could do that. It's just like,
like my man.
Yeah, because they don't see what goes on behind the scenes. You
yeah,
know,
No,
it's like that image of an iceberg. You see just the tip of the iceberg.
yeah,
Everything underneath it is like the promo, the writing, the editing, the format, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
there's so much more that goes on outside of the highlight reel that I think people don't see because we see the highlight reel.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of times so many artists who are struggling will see, even if it's one of their favorite creators, they see their highlight reel and they're like, man, but it's
how do
like, no, they're putting in work. Keep putting in the
Yeah,
work.
they're
yeah,
skimming a rock over an ocean of success, and the
Exactly.
below it is just like a depth of practice,
Yeah.
and it's tough. Because like I remember with cosplay and stuff like that, and a lot of the artistic projects I've taken on, I people always get surprised when I tell them I have not shown anyone a lot of the costumes I've made because they're in the
Wow.
garbage. So the ones you've seen are the ones I thought were passable, or the ones I was pressured by my wife being like, Sumner, that's good. Don't throw it away. So,
Right.
please don't get rid
uh,
of this one. It's
please,
good.
please do not. You've already spent $200 on fabric. Please do not throw this away. um, but yeah, I completely I love that you make it a point to inspire people to do that because I think that's extremely important because I shudder to think how many like talented people out there won't even
Yeah.
put pen to paper, so to speak,
Right.
because they're afraid it won't be the best thing ever. And
Yeah.
like
It
my
won't be
man,
good enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like just
It's
yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
no, no, you're fine. You're fine. It. There were so many things with Endgame that I thought, oh, if I put this out,
Hmm.
the people are going to go this route, or they're going to be like, oh, this is this, and ignore the whole story. And it's like none of the things I expected people to complain about, nobody's complained about. Everybody's liked it so far. So I'm like, okay, good. Phew.
That's
You know,
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
but
So,
it's like that inner voice in your head. Sometimes you
mhm.
have to ignore it and say, just go for it.
So you mentioned it was what was it 1,500 words and it ended up being over 9,000.
Almost 9,000.
Almost 9,000. Were you able to
Mhm.
cram all of that into an hour? I'm seeing here is the video clocks in at
Yeah.
58 minutes. You were able
Yeah.
to get all of that.
Yep. All of
That's
that's in.
bananas. I love that. Okay. That is so
Uh,
much editing.
It's got great pacing too. Like
Yeah.
the
Okay.
it
It
never
would have
feels
to.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it's incredible. When you say it's that many words, I'm like, wow, like because it does. It's got excellent pacing and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
great flow and
I'm stoked
everything,
to
and
listen to it, to be honest with you.
it's very good.
Right.
I enjoyed it a lot. It's one of the favorite things that I've worked on.
I just
It
subscribed.
yeah,
Oh,
it's just
I'm glad to hear that.
well, I have I don't just say it
Girl, you're at
because I'm being
590 subscribers. You didn't just hit 500. You're on your way to
Oh,
a
that's right. Yeah.
thousand. You're about to get that
I,
vanity URL.
the vanity
Oh no,
URL
you already have
is
the vanity URL.
Oh,
Is that
that
500
yeah,
now?
that was the first thing. Yeah, I have
Oh,
the vanity
nice. Look
URL.
at
So yeah,
you. So youtube.com/C/words by Parker. I mean, you were mega
yeah,
easy to find. I just searched you on Google and it came up
okay, good.
immediately. So, but
which is
girl, you got that
so
SEO. Anyway, I'm sorry.
are are there are there any projects that you're kind of currently working on? I mean, yeah, it's the thing is like I you just Rhonda Parker, you just released your novelette. What are you gonna do next?
Tell us.
Pick up one of the other projects on the whiteboard. Okay, so
Whoa.
I actually do have Renegade Shadow is an ongoing series, so I'm working on episode 4 of that, which I'm excited about,
Oh,
and
nice. Nice, nice, nice.
so that'll come out in November. That's the plan. Unless life or something else interferes, that is the plan. And then I've noticed. I tend to plan way ahead, which I
Mhm.
hope does not annoy the dickens out of people. But so I'll start
I know what
reaching
you
out
mean.
this month
Yeah.
to some of the folks that I want to work with for the full cast production next year, which is planned to be an audio drama. So there won't be a listener, and it's not an audio book. It's more like the old time radio plays where it's like it's a whole script, um, just audio. So, but anyway, uh,
So I'm
so
looking
it.
I'm so sorry. I
No,
didn't
no,
mean to
you're
interrupt
fine.
you.
You're fine.
I'm looking through your videos and I see Renegade Shadow. Based on the art, I'm going to guess werewolves.
No, no.
No?
Earlier she did say it was werewolves. I mean, that is also a thing that would make you think that it's werewolves, is that she told you that it was werewolves.
That's a great point, Mick. Thank you for bringing attention to that.
I love you, buddy.
And then is it vampires? I think I'm
So,
looking for vampires. Every time I see werewolves, I'm like,
well,
where are the vampires?
well, I have a vampire series that has not been written yet. That's another.
Yes. Okay, there it
Nailed
is.
it.
I love
Vampires are
it.
coming. So, and they're part of my werewolf universe. They're both in the same universe. But the vampire stuff is So this, you guys are gamers as well, so you'll appreciate this. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan, and
Well, you have come
I
to the
got
right show.
all right, sweet. And I got hyper fixated on Elder Scrolls Online for a while because it is a time suck, but the amount of lore and the questing. Anyway,
It's good
so I thought
stuff.
it would be neat because I noticed you would get different dialogue if you were a vampire in like the Rivenspire quest line and a couple of the other
Wow.
ones. And I'm like, what if I took a vampire player character through this play line?
Mhm.
And of course, because it's my brain and it always goes, and what if you did this? And so this it's called A Breton of House Ravenwatch, and I went through the Rivenspire, Greymore, and Markarth quest lines, and there's 40 videos in this series. Um, I went through the quest lines and kind of recorded it like you would record a movie. So if you don't want to like play the quest line, you can at least hear the story and know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I added a fan fiction element that would like put the character more into the world. So yeah, that was a thing.
That's amazingly
Can
cool.
I ask? And I have no idea how this is gonna ask because I feel like you're in good company with other people that love fantasy. But as a kid, were you the head in the clouds kind of girl? What kind of kid were you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been kind of introverted. I didn't really have friends until I got into high school, and that sounds terrible,
That
but I
no,
mean, it's
that's a
like, so
total
I got
vibe. I
used
totally
to.
understand.
Okay, good.
Like I
Again,
said, you're in
we
good
are
company.
we are
My
very familiar
people.
with that on this program.
Yeah, yeah.
What
No,
it's like to not.
and that's not too personal, but I am genuinely curious because I see you as an extremely creative person that has like these creative gears that literally won't stop turning no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, I guess, that type of behavior was fostered from originally, where that
I
I don't know.
I've always been a reader. I mean, I
Yeah.
started reading when probably like right at the end of being 4 into 5.
Mm,
So I've always been a voracious reader, and I think that's where my love of storytelling came from. And I think that's why I tried my hand at theater, I tried my hand at some independent film, and now I'm doing audio. And I find that I feel like I've kind of gone back and forth with audio production because I did the internship in high school and then
mhm.
I got away from it and now I'm back to it. And I love doing it. So I've always been a storyteller ever since I
Mm.
was young. Um, but I've always been drawn to fantasy. I've been drawn to sci-fi too because I'm a huge steampunk fan. So
I see that by the
but
goggles on the portrait you
yep,
provided.
kind of gave it away.
I love that. Do you have a steampunk
um,
persona yet?
no, I do not
You
actually.
don't? Oh,
I don't.
that's so funny. So in the
I'm
cosplay
listening.
community, there's like
Go
steampunks
on.
that have ships, and they create
Nice.
characters for these ships, and they role
Oh, that's
play
cool.
while they're in
That's
character.
awesome.
I
That is cool.
It
What is
actually
your
is really
character,
cool.
Sumner?
So their groups are called airships. So like we're airship Victoria, airship whatever, and
Yeah.
Nice.
it's really cute.
Sumner,
Um,
what's your ship?
I never made one. The character I
Oh,
was going to make, Heather was going to be a mermaid, and I was going to be a steampunk diver that found her and plucked her. Like,
I
I
love
want
it.
this
Oh,
one.
cool.
I designed it. I bought the fabric for it. I made the helmet for it. It's one of those costumes that never saw the light of day. I was gonna bring her.
Oh
I
no.
was gonna make a steampunk wagon to drag her around the convention in, and I'm like, "You
That's
just want me
awesome.
to drag
That's
you around
brilliant.
the convention floor, don't you?"
Wait
And
a
she was
minute.
like, "Wink." But anyway, sorry, I
That's
interrupted you.
brilliant. I like that. That's really that is very, very creative. I like
Isn't
that.
it? I love that.
The
Yeah, yeah,
diver that found the mermaid. I love it.
yeah.
He
Playing Bioshock at the time.
I was about to say,
Nice.
feels like
Nice.
Bioshock. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, just because Sumner is a massive Skyrim fan. Like,
Very cool.
he could tell you literally anything you need to know about the game, no problem.
Yeah, I've cranked in a couple hours. Yeah,
700
and that's
hours.
just one
Oh, is that
playthrough.
all?
Oh,
The one
yeah.
before that was like 600. The one before that was like 500. But anyway, like it's
Gotcha.
depression's a hell of
He
a drug. So like
is
Isn't
it's
it?
Skyrim. He is the Dragonborn.
yeah, I was dragon depressed, but yeah.
It's okay.
But yeah,
It's okay. I just
yeah.
like to it I don't say it as a negative or as a knock against you. It's just it's like you're like, if I okay, so if I was ever on like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and the final question to become a millionaire involves
With
Skyrim, I
Skyrim
know I'm calling you.
calling me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sumner.
Yeah, yeah,
Help, buddy. Of course,
yeah.
knowing you, you would tell me the purposeful wrong thing just because you'd be like, ah.
Ah! I thought it'd be funny. Tell Regis Regis isn't doing what we do Who Wants to Be a
Regis
Millionaire
Philbin's
anymore.
dead, my man.
Ah, damn. Is that
I
recent?
think. Maybe.
I genuinely didn't know that.
So, Rhonda, what is the biggest welcome to the 30-day trial.
I love it. I love it.
This is our show.
Yes.
It's falling off. What is the biggest difference with storytelling and execution aspects of audio storytelling versus written, and what's the appeal for one versus the other?
I think, excuse me, with when you're doing stuff in Endgame, it wound up, I think, I guess because in the back of my mind, I knew I was going audio at some point. I think it translated better to audio in the way it was written. But with audio, I like to call it, and I've heard this term before, so I can't claim it, the theater of the mind. You
Mm,
don't have, a visual in front of you. You get to imagine what that character looks like, that setting looks like, and it makes
Yeah.
you use your brain. It
yeah,
makes you
I think
use
books
your
are better
imagination.
audio. Yeah.
agreed.
Yes,
That's why
yes.
all movie
And
and TV adaptations of books get shat on endlessly because they don't
right,
it's the wrong medium. I don't know.
I
exactly.
the example I love to use, and this might be a dated reference, but the original Dune sticks out in my mind as something
I
that
was thinking about Dune too. Yeah.
uh because at points Paul has his internal monologue.
Hmm.
But when you're watching it in
You
a
can't
movie, it's really weird
it's
and
really
jarring.
Hmm.
awkward.
Yeah, so and again, that movie is good. David Lynch did a good job or whatever, but it's just very strange to
Yes.
where he's they're afraid of me, and you're like, is he psychic? Is he, what is going
Yeah.
on? If you're not familiar with the book or anything like that, it's
Dune, not
really weird.
Doom.
Dune, yeah, Dune,
Yeah.
yes, Dune.
Dune.
Dune. Yeah, so I mean, to me, that is like the example that you're saying where theater of the mind really comes into play, and like some things don't translate well to live action.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
think it
That
is
is very true.
engages the brain more, and
Hmm.
and I think engages you more with the medium, because especially nowadays, if you're watching something on television, it's so
Mhm.
easy to just like pick up your phone and like tune out. But if you're listening to something audio wise, like
Mhm.
it's really hard to do that and be engaged and pay attention and know what's going on.
Oh yeah, and I know for me, even though I like audiobooks and I like listening to audio productions, I have to actually sit down and pay attention. I like,
Mhm.
people will be like, "Oh, I'm putting on an audiobook while I clean." I'm like, "No, I'm sitting there because I need to pay attention." Because for me, I'll miss details.
Yeah.
And if I miss details and it's like, I don't know what the story's about. So, um,
Mm.
yeah, I'm one of those that's like hyper focused, like,
Interesting.
oh, I have to know what's going on. So yeah, but um, I had a thought and it just left my head. So
Dude,
there
I
we go.
was just about to ask, like, are you ADHD? Is that weird? And then you did that, and I'm like, next
Oh my
question.
God, Sumner, you
So
can't ask people if they're ADHD.
I can't? Is that weird?
You think that I am, and I'm definitely not.
I didn't ask you. I told you were.
Oh, that's all right. Fine.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair.
That's different. That's
That's
different.
different.
There's a big difference. Yeah, yeah. One's
Thank you,
more
doctor.
aggressive. uh, we do have one question though from our chat. What is the biggest difference with the storytelling and execution
My man.
aspects?
I literally asked her that like not
Wait.
5 minutes ago, and that's what
I
she was
thought that
talking
question
about.
came from you.
No, I read it from the chat.
Dude, what if I just like left the podcast and never came back? Would that be
No.
cool?
Don't leave. Stay. Stay with me.
I thought maybe you would yield a different answer. I don't know. Will you ask a second
You're like,
time?
You're like, well,
In
I wanna
Skyrim,
ask
if
it.
you ask the same question again, you get a different answer. Up to 3 or 4 times before they start repeating internal dialogue.
That's a good idea. This was a
That is
test.
point taken.
So
It was
Okay,
at
so-
that
okay, I'll
moment
give
that
you-
Sumner realized he fucked up.
I'll give you a different answer. There we go. We'll
there it is. Yes.
I've become an NPC. Here we go.
I have become an NPC. It's finally happened.
Like you, and then I took an arrow to the knee.
I know with like, especially when you write audio drama, audio scripts that are very much meant to plant things in people's minds.
Nick, shut the fuck up.
You do.
Say it first.
I see your stupid fucking face, just like a stupid fucking
It's so aggressive.
No, I'm sorry. It's because I'm mad at myself and you're in front of me. So-
He's like, I'm mad at myself. Someone bully my friend.
I'm gonna bully my friend. Fuck you. Sorry, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Where was I?
Fuck. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
oh, no, you're fine. You're totally fine. So it's like when you're writing an audio script and you're trying to suggest what something there's show don't tell, but there's certain things like you can't do in audio, obviously, that you can do in video. So
Mhm.
that for me was a learning curve because I'm like, okay, I have to suggest that we are in this place. How do I do that with saying, it's like kind of like in Renegade Shadow, it's like you're telling the listener, it's like, well, we found you out in the forest,
Mhm.
and we brought you back here to take care of you. And so there's you have to suggest it without like being really blatant about it. So that
Oh.
was definitely a new writing skill. Even as much as I've listened to old time radio and stuff, it's like that was definitely a new writing skill. I'm like, oh, how do I do this?
Listen to old time radio? What do you mean?
So like The Shadow,
I love The
Suspense. I love Suspense, Arch Oldler's Lights Out, those kinds of like the shows from like the 30s and 40s.
Oh,
50s?
yeah. Like War of the Worlds
Yeah,
type
yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm not well learned on this type of stuff. I was just,
Oh, that's fine.
it's fascinating though.
I tend to have a tendency to forget that people don't know what's inside of my head. My editor loves it when I hand her things and she goes, so Rhonda, what color is your hair? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I wrote it down. She's like, no, you didn't. So that's why I've become a running joke now.
Oh,
It's like, so I have
funny.
a question. I'm like, oh, jeez. Because I forget that not everybody's inside my head. Not that anybody wants to
No.
be inside this head. It's a crazy place.
That's the double-sided sword though, of like these vivid like when we say these characters are real to you, like they're so vivid to you, you don't feel the need to explain basic things
Right.
sometimes. I fall into that hole all the time when I write my stories.
Same.
Completely understand. When I remember one time I was describing like the room and stuff like that, they're like, how big is it? And I'm like, damn it, like it's huge. Like
Oh,
it's
About 30
yeah.
feet.
yeah. 50, shut up, Nick. You're right though. It's 50 feet.
It's about 50 feet.
Well, and it's hard because you live with these characters or you live with the story, and then it's like you know it all, but then it's like until somebody else looks inside and goes, okay, there's information I don't have that I need you to tell me. You go, oh, right, got it.
That is a thing that I should do. Huh.
Probably should do.
Maybe,
Moving on.
maybe.
I got it. Yeah, moving forward.
I'll put that in my notepad and I'll refer to it in 10 years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Sumner, I
then
think there's
Endgame
another
is
question
born.
that you-
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think there's another question.
I do have a question. I was waiting for you to. No, I'm kidding. You did nothing wrong. If you could make an audio-only version of any visual story, such as a movie, show, or game, what would you pick? That's a great question.
Oh my gosh, that is a great question. That makes my brain hurt.
Right? I'm gonna think about it too. I want to answer this one.
Oh wow. Holy cow. I don't know that I can answer any audio okay, what was the question again? Now I'm like
Yeah. No, it's okay. I was about to read it again. If you could make an audio-only version of any visual story, what would it be? My first pick, just to get the ball rolling, probably like Firefly. I feel like there's a lot of missed inner dialogue we missed out.
That would be really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
I mean, any more content in that universe would be great, but probably Firefly.
That would be, yeah, especially with all of the sci-fi and all the sound effects that you can do and
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Sci-fi is
Think
very
I
rich with
cast.
sound effects. What?
Yes, it is. I'm like, I'm trying to think. I can't believe I can't answer this. This is ridiculous.
Well, you have
Um,
so what are the first couple titles that popped to your head?
I'm gonna go with, and it's probably because I'm replaying it right now. Dishonored.
Oh,
Um,
interesting choice. Okay.
it's I don't know that you could do that. You possibly could. Actually, okay, no, oh, I've got it. I would be really cool to do like a prequel of what happened that caused the rat plague. And like an
Ooh.
audio prequel story of like, Jessamine in meetings with Corvo and the Hiram, or give that would be really cool to do like a prequel story that gets you into the events of Dishonored. Because Dishonored has a really rich story that you really couldn't tell just in audio. But just that
Mhm.
idea of being in on the meetings between all of
Right.
them and
Mhm.
the
That'd be
intrigue.
cool.
That's a good one. That would be cool.
That would be awesome. I was thinking, like, what about the downfall of Rapture from the BioShock series?
I was literally
Yes.
about to say that.
Were you
Yes.
really? Oh, of course
Mhm.
you were. Okay.
No, that was one of the because that's one of the first ones that like popped into my mind was, well, I'd really love to hear BioShock because the
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
sprinkled audio files throughout the game
Yes.
anyway
Exactly.
lends itself so well to
Yeah.
that. And then
Yeah.
the other one would be Metal Gear Solid. I think that story, because the character performances are so strong in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
game,
Nice.
I would love to hear it in an audio format. I think it would do really well. Plus, just the way that like Kojima kind of writes and things like that, I think it would lend itself very, very well to being an audio drama, specifically Metal Gear Solid 3, because it takes place in the 60s. So I think that would be a really
Mm.
interesting thing.
Nice.
And then Bioshock, of course, like I said, was the first one that popped into my mind. I was like, man, that would be incredible to do Bioshock.
What
Mhm.
Legend of Zelda?
Especially
Well,
And then the boy with a blank expression on his face left the room, yelling, "Hyatt!
hi.
Hyatt! Hut! Hut! Hut!" It was beautiful.
He
Yeah.
fell.
Sorry if I yelled in anyone's ears, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Oops, my bad. So, I feel like maybe this is a thing that other, creators and artists have, but is there any particular like dream collab that you have or a dream
oh,
project that you would love to do?
oh man. Um, I do have a dream collab list. Which
Oh, I
is
love it.
kind
You
of like
would
a
have a
list of
list.
like
I
I,
love it.
I know, right?
I love it.
I have notebooks, I have lists. What else? Now, I do have a dream collab list. I did get to scratch one of those off. I was
Ooh.
very excited. Actually, uh, Good Boy Audios was on, who is in Endgame, was on my dream collab list, and he and I worked together on a project last year. This is our second project, so I've scratched one name off that list. I got a few more to go.
Very nice.
So yeah, so I do have a dream collab list. I'd say I don't know that I have a project. When I did theater, I really wanted to play Roxanne and Cyrano de Bergerac because that's my all-time favorite play.
Oh, that's
Wow.
awesome.
But
That's
and I
so
keep thinking in my
specific.
head, I'm like, I could do that in audio.
Mhm.
We could do, and I'm like,
Yeah, you
that
could.
would take 20 people double cast, Rhonda. No, no, you cannot do this in audio.
I'm
No,
in.
no. You tell yourself you can't do it as you're looking
Let's
at your
do it.
budget.
Let's go. I'm
I,
in.
in all honesty, I would love to get back to doing Shakespeare because I
love
feel like
Shakespeare.
we put Shakespeare's and his characters on this pedestal, and you can't reach them to know the story because the whole point of Shakespeare is he was telling stories, and we've
Mhm.
made him this amazing playwright. And it's like, okay, Hamlet, as the greatest play in the English language, has plot holes. And when you get down to Hamlet, it is a son who is grieving for his father, and grief makes us do strange things.
Mhm.
And that's something people can relate to. But if you say like the melancholy Dane, it's like, huh? What?
Yeah, yeah. Shakespeare more so just made tropes that people took and then made better things
Yeah,
with.
exactly.
But he
The
gets the
amount of
credit for
people
being the original, which is
Yeah,
cool.
the amount of people that talk about Romeo and Juliet being this amazingly
No,
beautiful love story,
No,
it's like,
it's
hold on,
no.
player, let me stop you right there.
yeah, yeah.
You
It's a real
realize
story.
that it's not at all what this is.
No, he's like Shakespeare's making fun of these idiots. Like they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, they're
this is a don't do this, not put this up as like the greatest love. No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's
It's
really
look how
not.
dramatic these kids are being. Yeah.
Yes,
It's
but
Right. Right.
but just before it disappears, the thought disappears out of my brain forever.
Mhm.
My
which is a theme for
favorite,
tonight.
my yeah, for real. My favorite adaptation of Hamlet is one that was never done, but I wish it had been, and it was partially done. Okay, so there's this Arnold Schwarzenegger movie called Last Action Hero,
Mhm.
and in it they have a trailer for Arnold Schwarzenegger doing a Hamlet movie, and it is the
Wow.
most metal fucking, like, version of
Wow.
Hamlet ever. It's awesome because it's the scene where he kills Claudius, and, spoilers for anyone who hasn't, become
Spoilers for
aware of
people who
this.
have never seen this 1,000-year-old play.
Yeah, but you have, like, the opening scene of, like, Arnold is him lighting a cigar with a lighter, and he goes, "Oh, Claudius, you killed my father. Big mistake," and he throws him out of a window,
Oh
and then
my
he's, like,
gosh.
walking through a castle with, like, a machine gun just blasting dudes. And this my favorite part is, like, before that, but, or no, he didn't have the machine gun yet. He was, like, stabbing dudes with a sword, and he slices open this curtain, and a guy steps through, and he goes, "Stay thy hand, fair prince." And Arnold goes, "Who said I was fair?" And pulls out a machine gun and shoots the guy.
Holy cow.
It's on YouTube. It's from Last Action Hero. It is incredible, and it was never an actual movie. It was just a bit that they did in an
That they
Arnold
did.
movie, and I'm like, this would have been literally my favorite movie ever made if they made this movie because it's so tongue in cheek and
Mhm.
ridiculous, and it is magic. And I highly encourage, if you've never seen the trailer for it, seek it out because it will bring you joy. I think
Wow.
Well, and
maybe just me.
it's so funny. A few years ago there were so many like people wanting to play Batman and whatnot. And I'm like, when did Batman become the Hamlet of the film industry? I mean, it's like
What a
everybody wants to
sentence.
play Hamlet. Everybody wants to play Batman. It's like, why? Yeah,
And then Ben
calm
Affleck, like,
down.
it's not everything it's choked up to be.
He's like, I gotta tell you, so they're
I
great.
was shat on by the entire planet. I don't recommend it.
Which is unfortunate. I thought he did.
Oh
an
yeah,
excellent
he knocked
job.
it out of the park. I loved his bat, but he got a lot of crap.
What an interesting, evolution of society that we have, where that was the thing, as we said. Like the goal was, I want to play, I want to be Hamlet, or I
Mhm,
want to be Mercutio, or I want to be,
mhm.
Cyrano, or
Mhm.
whatever. And now it's like, I want to be Spider Man, which
Right.
I too want to be Spider Man. In fairness, but
We've truly
it's just
evolved, haven't we?
it's an interesting thing. So just to close it out, Ronnie, you've been a fantastic guest with us here, and we've asked you a ton of questions. I don't want to say badgered you with questions, but I feel like we've been asking a lot.
I
So,
wouldn't say badger so much as beaten to submission.
fair, fair. But we always like to give our guests the opportunity to ask if you have any questions for us that you'd like to ask. Sort of a revenge plot movie here,
Yeah,
like
there you go.
Revenge
Yeah.
you
plot.
know, two
Hmm.
two idiots have bothered you for an hour with questioning, and now it is your opportunity to badger us if you so choose.
Hmm. Hmm. I was trying to think, like, do I ask a silly question or a
You can ask
relatively
whatever
serious
you want,
one? Um,
You cannot
and
and
wish
as
for
much
more
as you'd
I
like.
wishes.
could do it all night. What would be if you Okay, this is a weird one, and you guys may not even know this. What would be if you had to pick a musical? What would you say your favorite musical is?
Phantom of the Opera.
Nice.
Ugh, really?
Mhm.
Oh,
I danced to All I Ask of You at my wedding. Yeah,
I'm
my favorite
kidding. I've
musical.
actually never finished it.
oh,
Yeah.
I have attempted to watch it 3 times, and promptly, I only remember waking up at the end. So
I'll
I
be
do
honest.
not
I
know the
think
middle.
I enjoy the movie. I enjoy the movie, but I think the
It's like
best
a
way to see
lullaby
Phantom
for
is
me.
live.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe that. I mean,
yeah,
every musical live is better. Um, but I'm also a theater kid too. So I was a
nice.
techie though. I just
yeah.
appreciated being behind the scenes. I
I,
always
I
get
was on
stage.
stage.
Techies are very important. I don't care
They
what
are
anybody says. They're
Appreciate
very,
that.
incredibly
very
important.
important.
I was the
I
only one that knew how to use a drill. So,
See?
There it
I
is.
had a, I was like VIP. Anyway, but musical, that's a great question. I'm a sucker for Little Shop of Horrors.
I do
Nice.
enjoy that.
I'm a
Nice.
sucker for it. I've seen Wicked way too many goddamn times.
I've never seen Wicked, so
And
that
I
one's
saw
one
it
I'm gonna have to do.
live like 5 times in Houston. I'm like, please stop bringing me to the show.
Don't want to see
Stop
it
It's so long.
anymore.
I'm not a furry. I'm not, so,
Is that a thing in
dude?
Wicked?
Yeah. One of the part of the plot is to save all the animal people and not to enslave the monkeys.
I
Okay.
also love Les Mis. Rocky Horror Picture Show, of course, is a classic. Yeah, Les
Mhm.
Mis. Rocky Horror Picture Show is a classic. That is a very interesting one to see live. If you ever have the opportunity to see a
I
live
bet.
performance of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and by that I mean it's people who literally act out the movie while the movie is on screen.
That sounds like a trip.
It is something else. People throw toilet paper at them. It's like
Mhm.
it's huge audience participation, so it's a lot of fun. Repo the Genetic Opera, I think
I've never heard of it.
it is
Oh, really?
essentially my generation's Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's the best way to describe it because it's like only if like Rocky Horror was kind of bad though, like and kind of like cringe. Like you look
Yeah.
at it now and you're just like, oof,
I
God.
remember the first time I watched it, I was like, that's it. But then I watched it a second time, and then like around the 7th time, I was like, I'm starting to get it. Like, so I get it.
Repo is like if Rocky Horror Picture Show was more like goth industrial metal. Okay, Repo is like if Trent Reznor wrote Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'll put
Yeah,
it like
yeah.
that.
I
Yeah,
get that.
Irony.
it's hard to describe.
That's
It's
funny.
got
Wow.
great music though. The music's actually really good.
One of these
Nice.
days, I will finish Phantom of the Opera so I can stop having a weird negative opinion about it based on nothing. So, it just puts me to sleep. When I hear the songs, I hear like plane engines about to take off because that's usually when I watch this on the plane.
I'm
So,
gonna do some karaoke of some Phantom for you one day. Nighttime slowly like I'll tremble in plantation. I'll get you. Don't worry. I'll find you. That's not actually how I sing. That was a bit.
Shrek the Musical was really good, and I think a little underrated, to be honest.
Of course.
It's on Netflix
I
for those who haven't seen it. It's
for Shrek the
phenomenal.
Musical?
Shrek the Musical. Yeah, I know Shrek is
Huh.
kind of a meme on the show,
Yeah,
but
that's why I
like
was
no
like,
shot,
"Another meme."
like no shot though. It is good. It is quality. It is funny. It is well done. It is well produced. It's very clever.
Nice.
I highly recommend it. The set design is bananas.
Hmm.
They have they come out swinging too with this aging type scene where young Shrek is left on his own and he's walking on this rotating set that goes higher and higher and higher,
Wow.
and
Oh, wow.
and people are walking by. It's incredible. Of course, it's Broadway, so the budget is unlimited, but still, it's and then Farquaad just knocks it out of the park. He's on his knees the whole time. He's got these little legs that he flies around. It's really, really funny. Like
Nice.
and the lighting is awesome. Like I was watching it with like a couple of my theater friends, and they were geeking out. We were pausing it and rewinding. Look at what they did with this, and it was really, really
Right.
fun. So
I tell you what musical shouldn't exist, the Beetlejuice musical.
I'm still shocked they made that. That just doesn't make sense to me.
It's not good. It's an abomination. Beetlejuice is like my favorite movie, so I hate what they did to my boy. Look how they massacred my boy. I guess like one final question, Rhonda, since you're a theater kid, was there any particular performance or play that you did that stands out as a favorite of yours, Sumner, for you as well? Even though you're a tech boy, he still counts. Dang it! And I'll tell you mine.
I like how you're like,
I
techies are people too. I appreciate you guys.
Yes, they are.
Appreciate-
I have worked both sides of that stage, and techies are not appreciated enough. But at the same time, sometimes techies have a beef with actors, so it's like,
For no reason.
well,
I know what you mean.
exactly for no
I know
reason.
what you
Like,
mean.
oh,
Yeah.
actors, and it's like, stop.
Like, dude,
just have
you're
to
here
have
for
fun.
us. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I would. Then the question just went out of my head. Uh,
Favorite performance in a play that you've
Yeah,
done.
thank you. I'm gonna go with two different ones. One was I played Mother Superior in the musical Nonsense. I'll let you look that up. It's absolutely hilarious. I had a great time. Got to do an Irish accent. It was awesome. And
I can't do that accent.
the
Jealous.
other one would probably be the last show that I did in theater, which was Richard II, and it was
Ooh.
Shakespeare.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I got to play Queen Isabel, and it was a steampunk
Oh,
production.
nice.
So
Oh,
probably where
cool.
some of my
Great.
steampunk started. Yeah, Bolingbroke's group was like the new steampunk, kind of characters, and then Richard and his court were more of the Victorian look. It was a really well done production. Kudos to Mandy
Interesting.
Bean who directed that. It was,
Was it
yeah, it
like,
was a good production.
is it like gears hot glued as far as the eye can see? Like
Oh
what
my
kind of?
gosh, our set designer did like a whole thing of gears on the back wall, and it's an
Yeah.
outdoor amphitheater, so
Yeah.
it was really cool. Yeah,
I
it was
love
good.
it.
Yeah.
I think steampunk is really charming. I really love it. For some reason, I've made costumes for years, but for some reason, it still intimidates me to this day. Probably because of the sheer
Mhm.
amount of leather work necessary for it. But
Who's got time for that?
I'm making a belt, and it's taking days, dude.
I know. I just imagine that you stay up at all hours just assembling this belt, cursing why you've done it the entire time.
Yeah, I'm posting progress in the Discord if anyone's
It looks
interested.
great.
But yeah, thank you.
It looks great. Sumner, what's your favorite production that you've worked on or been a part of?
The Wiz.
Nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
that was really fun. I never heard of The Wiz. At first, I was like, "This is a weird production." I thought it was like they made it specifically for this small production company I was volunteering for, and it turns out it's a big deal. And it was a really fun set. The set was really fun. I made like a bunch of stairs. They had a really high budget, so I was like, go to Home Depot, go nuts. I think I had the most fun with it because it was the most prop making experience I'd ever had at that point.
Can do.
The set designer, he was obsessed with the band Cake, so he just blasted their discography every
Oh
time I
my
was
gosh.
there. I
That's
can't
interesting.
stand them now because I've heard them too much. But
Overexposure.
Was he going the
overexposure,
distance?
clearly. He had a long
Oh!
short skirt and a long anyway, but yeah, The Wiz, definitely.
Nice.
Nice.
For me, I'd be remiss if I didn't say if I didn't select the role that won me an award for my performance, which was Wiley and the Hairy Man, in which I played the Hairy Man, who was
Nice.
the villain. I won a superior award for that performance from the Palmetto Drama Association. So
Well,
very proud.
congratulations.
I'm
You should.
only
Congratulations.
living off of
Super
that
belated.
success 17 years later. It's fine.
That's awesome. That's great.
It still works. I mean,
Still
keep going with
polishing
it.
it.
It's not like they took the award away from you. You still have it. I mean,
I do actually. It's in a box in my bedroom. So
It's still on his resume, everyone.
it's
see?
true.
There you go.
Yeah, no. I moved so far away. I'm all behind the microphone now. That's where I love to be. That's the best type of performance. Like I think about theater sometimes, but if I were
Mhm.
to do theater again, I'd have to do something like weird or gross, like Evil Dead the musical, or like super weird, obscure Shakespeare or something like that.
Mhm.
Because
I've-
it's just the microphone is so freeing.
It really is because you nobody sees you. You
Yeah.
can do anything you want to behind that microphone, and a lot of times for an actor, that is very liberating. It's like,
I
okay,
was-
I can look totally stupid, but it'll be fine because they're
Yeah.
hearing the performance, not getting the whole visual and everything.
That's why
Yeah.
I love it. It's I could be anything. I could be an old
Yeah.
man. I can be a young boy. I can be anything.
You can
and
be
it's
Working
amazing.
from home.
Also that I can do it
Yes.
in my pajamas.
Yep.
I can walk into my studio, turn it on, throw out the lines, send them off, and go, hey.
I love how you're just like, I could be this person, I could be this, and then you're like, I could be pantsless, baby. What up?
I could be lazy.
I could be just woken up 10 minutes ago.
No, I do have a process, Sumner.
I
you
know. Yeah, you have to get out of bed and you have to put
Yeah, I gotta get
you have
out
to
of
look at the
bed,
pants
I
and go,
I gotta turn on a light. Like it's a whole.
It's a whole
It's a-
thing. Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a
lot,
thing.
really. It's
I gotta
really
press
a lot.
snooze 12 times. Yeah.
Wow.
Life's hard.
I have had a really great time, particularly watching Sumner have a slow meltdown. This
Dude,
episode has
it's-
been.
Full disclosure, I work a full day. I've been working since 8 a.m. and then I get off at 6:30 and we go live 7. So I'm like,
Yeah.
full attention.
Killing it, buddy.
I
You're
know,
killing
I'm
it.
killing it. I'm killing it, dude.
You do a great job. You do
Thanks
a
for
great
y'all's
job. You're-
patience with me. It does mean a
Hey,
lot,
thank you.
actually.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And thank you, Mick, for being patient with how mean I am with him for no reason. So You don't deserve
We
it.
hurt the ones we love. It's
We
fine.
do. But it's our job not to pass along that abuse. Isn't that right, Mick? It's high five.
Uh,
Perfect.
Do it right.
Perfect.
Was
Knocked it out of the
that was
park.
definitely
Nice.
the wrong
That-
way, wasn't it?
Well,
Oh,
thank you guys for having me on. This was very enjoyable. I had a lot of fun. So.
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you so much for coming. And of course, everyone, as we've said, Rhonda's links are in the description below. They will be posted in the show notes. Are they posted in the description below? Am I a liar?
No, they will be though. They by the time you
Okay.
guys are watching this, if it's not live, they will be down there. So thank you so much for
Okay.
checking us out. And we're also always in Discord, where we love to post about the podcast and chat about whatever happens and whatever projects we're working on. Any hyperfixations you might be into, any hobbies, let us know. Discord.gg/Playotic Games. We are on the podcast every Wednesday on YouTube Live, while the other half of us on Playotic Games is live on Twitch every week. So just check us out. We greatly appreciate you listening. Make sure to like and subscribe the video. Thank you so much again for one last time to Words by Parker. Make sure to follow her on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube especially. We want to get her to 1,000 subs if we can.
Yes.
And
Yes.
make sure to check
That'd
out
be
her
awesome.
latest works.
Yes. And thank you again, Rhonda, for casting me in game. It was an absolute pleasure. And it was
Thank
an
you.
excellent piece of work to listen to after it was all said and done. So thank you again for casting some idiot.
You auditioned
my
and you got
idiot.
you earned it. So there you go.
Thanks, Trey.